Hey, thanks for joining us on Arc Salt Lake. I'm Mark Cabell. It is Monday, April 7th. Tonight, we're taking a look at how stock market changes could affect your personal finances. We have a lot of people worried about their investments and 401ks. What financial advisors say you should do. That's coming up. But before we do that, let's check with meteorologist Sean Kelly, who has our first alert forecast. And Sean, pretty nice weekend, very nice today, maybe even better tomorrow. So is spring finally here for good?
Yeah, I think so. At least for the next 7 to 10 days, we're looking at unseasonably warm weather, and it was a fantastic start to the work week here. 71 was the high in Salt Lake City, 79 in St. George. Look at the heat developing down towards the southwest. Palm Springs there in the 90s, Vegas into the 80s. We've got increasing clouds across the area. We're going to start to see some slight changes overnight. A weak cold front pushes through, and really not significant, not going to bring us rain, and only going to give us a little bit of a drop in the temperatures. Currently sitting at 68 degrees, so it's a gorgeous evening. See some high-level clouds out there. The winds of the south-southeast. That's that warm wind that brought the nice temperatures here. Increasing clouds, though, through the overnight, and a little bit chilly early tomorrow morning. But again, look at this. We go from 67 tomorrow. There's that little bit of that cool down. But look at that warm up as we head into the end of the week. We're talking about 80s making a return, the first 80-degree day of the season. We'll let you know how long this lasts and if there's any rain or snow in the extended forecast that's coming up in my first alert weather.
All right, Sean, thank you very much. We'll check back with you in just a bit here on ARC. As the stock market continues to fluctuate, many could be wondering, what does all this mean for me and my family and my personal finances? KUTV's Leslie Duarte took some of these questions to a financial advisor today to get some answers for us.
On Monday, the stock markets were in red again, leaving many wondering what's going to happen next.
I did notice my 401k has dropped 10%.
What patterns are you seeing in the market?
The markets will react anytime there is uncertainty out there, but we've seen stuff like this in the past, and the markets are resilient and they always come back.
While it's hard to predict what the markets will do, Paul Nguyen-Swander, a financial advisor with Cetera located at Granite Credit Union, says people should not panic.
You know, normally I'm a long haul type person. I keep my stocks for a long, long time. But as I'm getting older now, I'm getting concerned.
What should people be doing right now to protect their investments?
If you're getting close to retirement, you don't want to be taking on too much risk generally, but you want to make sure your portfolio matches up with what your goals are and when you plan on using the money.
Meanwhile, people have one thing on their mind.
Whether or not I should cash out or, let it ride.
To that, Paul says,
I would tell them, with your 401ks, your IRAs, those are more long-term investments, and so I would just kind of ride this out, as painful as it might be. I would stick with your plan, but it's always a good idea to make sure you have some short-term money put away somewhere safe.
Now, Paul also told 2 News to avoid acting out of any panic and recommends having an emergency fund or some type of savings outside of your current investments to pull you through. This morning on Arc Salt Lake, Ron Bird, Mary Nichols, both sitting down with Robert Spendlove, a financial advisor from Zions Bank, to get his perspective on what Utahns can do to protect themselves and their money.
And thank you very much to Robert Spendlove, a senior economist at Zions Bank, for being with us this morning. I guess there's a little bit of good news this morning. The Dow down only 300 points right now.
Instead of over 1,000.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it could have been. We saw a lot more difficulty in Asian markets overnight.
When we talk about the markets, what does that mean to regular people like us here that just live here in Utah? We might not be running a business, might not be investing hugely in the markets.
Well, if you have a retirement account, if you have a 401k, you're exposed to the markets. And so lots of people are putting their money in these accounts. They're saving up for retirement. And what we've seen is with these drops, it's not realized until someone actually sells. Okay. But it's called a wealth effect, where even if you're not using it, you feel it when numbers are down.
Okay. So what would you tell folks with their 401ks right now? Of course, should I go just put it all in cash? But we're always told just leave it where it is because it comes back.
Absolutely. The worst thing you can do in a down market is overreact and sell. You just want to ride it out. You need to have that long-term trajectory, right? You shouldn't be relying on that money today or tomorrow or even in 6 months. You should say, well, I don't need it for 5 or 10 years and I can ride this out.
What if you're close to retirement, you know, maybe 2, 3, 4 years out?
If you're closer to retirement, you need to have your money in a more stable place. You shouldn't have all your money relying on a very volatile place like the stock market. You need to, but that's part of working with your financial advisor and slowly moving that over to a more stable source of money for the long term.
Like a high yield savings account?
Like high yield savings accounts, like CDs, like bonds. Okay. You want to really have a diversified portfolio, even real estate. You want to have that diversification so you're not exposed to that volatility.
Yeah, and if you don't have a portfolio, you probably do. Most people do have a 401k of some sort. But these tariffs are probably going to hit people in their pocketbooks pretty soon.
Yeah, well, it depends on, so this is one of the struggles. This is why the markets are in a little bit of turmoil, is we don't know exactly how to plan for this. We don't know exactly what the tariffs are going to look like 6 months or a year from now. You know, the Trump administration is negotiating this. Right. And so when we don't have clear certainty, it's harder to plan. But where we'll start seeing impacts pretty soon is on groceries, especially those groceries that come from overseas. Right. So like one of the quickest is going to be berries, bananas, avocados, you know, where they're perishable and they come from other sources. And then we'll see kind of a follow-through effect on other goods.
Well, and you said negotiating, and he announced tariffs around the world. Didn't say negotiating, said the tariffs will happen, and then that's when the reaction happened.
Yeah, but yesterday they were talking about negotiating.
They've contacted the White House, what, 50 different countries?
50 different countries. We don't know the specifics of those negotiations. The one we keep hearing about is Vietnam. Vietnam is saying we'll remove our tariffs on US products going into Vietnam. They're pushing back on even that though. They're saying we want you to go further. And so that's where we just don't know exactly what their end goal is. And so that's why we don't know exactly how to plan for it.
Yeah. Elon Musk said with Europe, he would like to see just 0 tariffs both ways.
Both ways.
For now.
And when it goes even beyond the tariffs, they call them non-tariff barriers. So even beyond the tariff rate, they say things like VAT taxes or things like quotas also have an impact on US goods, and they want those non-tariff barriers to also be part of this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you talked about certainty. We've kind of had a lack of certainty here. Is there anything that the president could do at this point to maybe calm things a little bit, especially with the markets?
Yeah, you know, I think, and kind of the critical date is going to be later this week, because there's 2 parts of the tariffs. There's the 10% across the board. Yeah. I'll just tell you, I don't think those will ever go away. That's the part that he talks about revenue generating. Okay. But then there's the second part, which is the reciprocal tariffs, and those will go into effect later this week. And so if over the next couple days he starts to announce deals, if he starts to announce we've got a deal with Vietnam or we've got a deal with the European Union, then I think you're going to have some more certainty, as long as we can have some assurances that this will be the new path going forward. There's always a risk of a recession in the next year, just because there are things that can go wrong. Now it's gone up to about 50%, so it is higher, but it's not, it's not for sure going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you say anything as we close up here to make everyone feel really good?
Feel better?
Okay, here's the bottom line.
Bottom line.
The underlying economy is fundamentally strong. Yeah. And Utah has among the strongest economies in the nation. So we're really well positioned to make it through this.
Okay, now we all feel better.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't have another worry.
We had the market numbers. It was down 700. The Dow was down over 700 while we were checking it out. So.
All right. Robert, thank you very much.
Keep your chin up.
Great having you here.
Utah is set to become the first state in the nation to ban fluoride in public drinking water. Lawmakers, along with the Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., celebrating the new state law inside the University of Utah, with others protesting outside. The event marked the first time a state has passed a law banning fluoride since it was introduced into the public water supply back in the 1940s. The bill will go into effect on May 7th and ban fluoride from all public drinking water across the state. It will also allow pharmacists to prescribe fluoride. The Secretary says the Beehive State is leading the way for his Make America Healthy Again agenda.
I'm very proud of Utah It has emerged as the leader in making America healthy again. And in the era of fluoridated toothpastes and mouthwashes, it makes no sense to have fluoride in our water. The evidence against fluoride is overwhelming. In animals, in animal models, and in human models, we know that it causes IQ loss.
The American Dental Association argues fluoride is a cost-effective way to prevent tooth decay and strengthen tooth enamel. In 2023, Brigham City struck down a measure to ban fluoride from its water supply. And out of nearly 500 water systems in Utah, only 66 are currently fluorinated, according to the CDC. Today's event also highlighted another bill which removes ultra-processed foods from school lunches, as well as a law that prevents those who receive SNAP benefits from using those funds to buy candy and soda. The secretary will continue his health tour with stops in Arizona and New Mexico later this week.
The back-and-forth battle between the United States and China, leaving some to wonder if the trade war has already begun. I'm Christine Frizzell with the latest.
They are one of the biggest targets of the president's trade policies. China has now been hit with multiple tariffs and has levied several against the United States in response. The president, for now, showing no signs of backing down, and as Christine Frizzell reports, there may be more than one reason for his actions.
It's a reality President Trump says will take time to reverse. The heavy reliance by the United States on China, he says, has resulted in a huge imbalance on the world stage. In a post calling China the biggest abuser of all, following its 34% retaliatory tariff on all U.S. imports beginning Thursday, which, if it does not withdraw, Trump now threatening an additional 50% tariff effective April 9th.
China is right now taking a big hit because everyone knows we're right. They have to pay tariffs. We're not going to lose $1 trillion for the privilege of buying pencils from China.
Chinese officials call the tariffs unprovoked and unjustified.
President Xi has to demonstrate very quickly he's not going to get pushed around by an American president.
While President Trump insists the $1 trillion trade deficit with China is the top reason for the tariffs, he's also pushing China to do more on fentanyl, which experts say it's involved in at every level. Most of the precursor chemicals are made in China, then shipped to Mexico through ports owned by Chinese companies. A process detailed in Peter Schweitzer's Blood Money, Why the Powerful Turn a Blind Eye While China Kills Americans.
Those precursors are shipped to facilities run by the Mexican drug cartels. But according to our DEA, there are 2,000 Chinese nationals that essentially act as chemists to turn that into fentanyl.
During Trump's first term, Chinese President Xi Jinping vowed to put a stop to its involvement, a promise that ultimately wasn't kept, though tariffs could push them in the right direction, a move the White House is betting on as global trade continues its spiral.
I think using something that China values, which is access to our markets, is a very, very effective tool to aggressively deal with this issue of fentanyl.
A crisis in its own right, now interwoven with the economy as a whole. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
Many mega stocks took a big hit today, but it seems like Apple was one of the biggest losers. The tech giant lost 3.7% in value, bringing Apple's three-day sell-off to a whopping 19%, slashing about $638 billion in market cap. Apple is dependent on China, which is facing 54% tariffs now. Other countries it relies on for production are also looking at steep U.S. tariffs. Analysts expect Apple to start raising prices to compensate for that monetary loss. A new survey from CNBC shows widespread concern among American CEOs in the wake of President Trump's sweeping tariffs. The flash survey included CNBC council membership as well as 22 chief executives. It found that 69% expect a recession. Of those CEOs, 3/4 said they expect it to be moderate to mild. 37% of those surveyed said they expect to make jobs this year. 46% of the CEOs indicated the tariffs would be bad for their business, while about 1/3 said it's just too early to tell right now. After a pretty good weekend, we have some changes coming, hopefully nice ones, right, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a cold front here, but we can call it a cool front because it's just going to drop us down a few degrees, going from the 70s back down to the 60s and into next week. And into the end of the week, we were talking about our first 80-degree day of the season. Hey, it's a gorgeous evening across the area. We've got temperatures here into the 60s. It's great patio weather. It's great grilling weather. Gorgeous sky out there looking towards the Wasatch Mountains. We're going to see a lot of snow melt here with our snowpack with these unseasonably warm temperatures. We're a good 5 to 10 degrees warmer than just 24 hours ago. So how about that? Heading in the right direction. 58 right now in Heber, 55 in Park City. Look at St. George, still sitting at 77 degrees this evening. What's bringing us the warm weather today? The light winds out of the south, still a bit gusty in the Milford area, but we've got a cool front moving in, and that means we'll see that wind shift through the overnight into tomorrow morning out of the north and west. A bit breezy through much of the day tomorrow, but nothing that we can't handle. We'll likely see about 15 to maybe 30 mile per hour wind gusts, gustier winds the further north and northeast you head. Right now, our storm back out towards the west, bringing some showers across much of the Pacific Northwest, including Idaho, and majority of that moisture will stay up towards the north, but we do have some cloudier skies working its way in right now as we get into tomorrow morning. There's that spot shower north of Salt Lake City, mainly across our northern Wasatch Mountains, back down towards Logan, Cache Valley, a few sprinkles there. from about 7 through 10 a.m. in the morning. It's out of here after that. Plenty of sunshine and still a gorgeous day, just slightly cooler. Then we start to warm up. High pressure system moves in from Wednesday into Thursday and Friday, but then it moves out towards the east and we get ready for our next storm here, bringing us some scattered showers, mainly up towards the north. A few spot showers and sprinkles here across the valley floors, and then some scattered snow showers here for the mountains. So other than that, that's really about it in terms of precipitation. It's still looking really dry here through the next 7 to 10 days. Temperatures we head into the overnight, dipping down into the 40s and 50s. Highs tomorrow, even with the cold front, not too bad. Mid to upper 60s here for highs up towards the north, into the 70s from Price, Richfield, Cedar City, still into the 80s from St. George and into the Page area. So St. George, you're looking at really nice temperatures here in the days ahead. In fact, it gets even better. Pool weather from Wednesday all the way through the remainder of the week. Look at this, 90s even as we head into the weekend. You'll get a little bit cooler from Sunday into Monday of next week along the Wasatch Front. We're unseasonably warm each and every day. We go to the middle 60s to upper 60s as we close out the week here. And then Thursday, Friday, 70s and 80s. Breezy with a few showers possible on Saturday, and then cooler but still closer to where we should be for this time of year on Sunday, and still looking really nice as we get into next week.
All right, coming up on Arc Salt Lake, a pretty big day tomorrow. The Salt Lake Bees opening their brand new ballpark. We'll have all the information you need to become a Super Bees fan coming up on Arc. Hey, time to play ball happening tomorrow. The Salt Lake Bees have a new hive in South Jordan. The team's home opener set for tomorrow. Construction crews trying to get everything finished and ready for tomorrow night's game. The Bees taking on the Reno Aces. First pitch set for 6:35 p.m. That new stadium can seat 8,000 fans. We'll have team coverage for you all day at 4, 5, and 6. And our Brian Schnee will be back hosting ARC Salt Lake from the ballpark live at the stadium tomorrow night at 7 as we count down to first pitch for the Salt Lake Bees in South Jordan. An elementary school in Las Vegas has a new buddy bench to help kids make friends. So what is a buddy bench? Well, it was the brainchild of an 8-year-old Phoenix boy. The idea very simple. Kids can sit on the bench and let other kids know that they want someone to play with or somebody to talk to or just a friend to hang out with. After working to raise funds for the bench, a Good Samaritan reached out and said, hey, I'll build the bench. I'll provide the materials and provide the money, and that's what he did. They unveiled the buddy bench. It took Luis Perez about a week to build the bench. He said it's all for a great cause. He says he has kids too, and he says he understands the importance of helping kids make friends and always feel like they belong. It's called the Buddy Bench. Hey, thanks for watching ARC Salt Lake. See you back here later on tonight for 2 News at 10 after the ball game.